Anda kembali menyaksikan Road to CNBC Indonesia Awards dalam kategori The Best Healthcare Companies. Dialog lagi, kita lanjutkan lagi bersama dengan President Director PT Anugerah Pharmindo Lestari, Christophe Piganiol. Christophe, we will continue our discussion. So, as we know that for the past 2 years since COVID-19 was declared as a global pandemic, and we know this has turned to be a blessing in disguise for healthcare companies in general. So how has it affected on APL's performance from 2020 to this year?
Well, Sasa, I think, blessing in disguise, I wouldn't say that the same, right? It has brought a lot of disruption actually for healthcare companies. And of course, some who had products in the COVID space were probably benefiting from it. But, we have to know that many hospitals, actually, the occupancy rate went down dramatically, putting a stress on the health, the financial health of those hospitals. And the same for some of the companies that were providing some of the medicines, a lot of surgeries, a lot of major healthcare aspects were delayed. So a lot of companies actually suffered a lot through this. And yeah, there has been some benefits, but even the companies who were benefiting from COVID, some, because COVID went down, now have stock and they don't know what to do with it. So, but anyway, how it have affected us, I think it made us, number one, humble, because we were called to serve by the government to deliver something which is difficult, which is cold chain, in the most remote areas of the country, whether it was in Papua or in Sumba, or in those remote areas where it's not easy to operate, we were called on to serve. And, so we were humbled and honored to help really the country. Of course, in some areas, we had to react really, really quickly. We had to work late at night, late a plane coming in, and we have to go and take the medicines and bring them to hospitals when they were constrained. But last, and this may be a tribute to our own employees, during this time, everyone was scared. And all the members of APL had to take medicine and go to hospitals when they knew there were people with COVID. And, I can relate with the hospitals who had to deal with the patients and were even more scared, I guess, than us or the pharmacies. But, a lot of people don't think about our companies like ours who had to operate and, go to a danger zone, basically. And I can here commend all our employees for that great work that they did. So yes, 2020 in particular was very difficult. 2021 was better for us, but it helped us also to be more agile. And I would say from that agility, we gained a lot. And this is what I would say as a conclusion on that question is, yes, it's very good for us to have learned from COVID to be a bit more agile, to stay humble, and to serve our mission, which is to make healthcare more accessible in Indonesia.
Well, the challengers, right? So I might say that the pandemic has changed people's behavior and also healthcare industry in general, right?
Yes.
As we know that APL is also committed to a sustainable vision to build a healthier future for Indonesia together with your clients and customers through 4 main pillars. So can you elaborate more about these 4 main pillars and what are the efforts for each pillars?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we understand in APL and in Zulik Pharma, our group, that there are 17 SDG, right? But it's complicated to focus on 17 things. We typically say, 3 to 5 is the only thing you can do. So what we did is, as a group, we look at all these SDGs and we try to put them together in something that we could relate as people. And I think it's very important to understand sustainability can be done by everybody. And again, right, you don't need to work on 17 SDGs at the same time, but try to work on the ones that you can relate to first. And of course, later you might go on the others. So in no particular order, because I think we have an order in the company, but I'm not sure we'll follow the order. But The first one we have, which is quite obvious, is improving health outcomes. So how can we as a group, of course, make healthcare more accessible, but improving the health outcome, right? If we bring a drug and it's not helping someone to be better, drug meaning a medicine, it's better that we focus, how can we help the outcome? So reduce the occurrence of the disease or prevalence of disease or the spread of a disease is something maybe we can help do as a company. And we can do that with, of course, all the healthcare providers, whether doctors or pharmacies that we talk to, or we can do that with our own employees, communities we serve. So there are so many touch points that we have in these improving health outcomes. The second one is nurturing talents. So creating in the company an environment to nurture our talents, to make them develop, and of course, beyond our companies, helping universities who are involved in healthcare or outside or even in sustainability grow and creating the right environment so that people can really, we can nurture talents in the country we operate. The third one, and there is a fourth one after, so bear with me please, is respecting the environment. So, everyone associates sustainability with respecting the environment, but it starts with very simple things, right? Things that we can implement on a daily basis. The decision you make on how you consume food, how you consume your drinks, and how you really work on your day-to-day, on your waste, and make sure that you do it responsibly, thinking of what your children would say, or what your grandchildren would say when, in 30 years they say, yeah, Grandpa, this is what he used to do. Wow, I'm so happy, or I'm so unhappy, right? And then for us as a group, and we think it's a differentiator of who we are, is setting the highest standard of integrity. So it's very important that we commit really to have a high standard of integrity, a high standard of ethics in the company, and that every day we act and behave with that in mind. So with these 4 pillars, I would say we combine the 17 SDGs in something that is palatable. And what we do very simply is we create champions, but not champions that stay in headquarters. Is champions that go in all the branches we have across the provinces of Indonesia.
Okay, so there are 4 main pillars, including improving health outcomes, nurturing talent, respecting the environment, and also setting the high standard for integrity. And in your opinion, Christophe, what challenge does APL face in regards to your effort to build a sustainable business, especially in Indonesia? What are the business prospects in health sector in the future? And what are the innovations and business strategies that need to be implemented so that the business in the health sector can continue to grow, sustainable, and also will be impactful to the society?
I'm not going to lay out my, the company strategy here because maybe,
just a bit.
I think a few things. There are major changes that happen in Indonesia, and I think, if I recall, Indonesia is, I think, one of the countries who implemented universal healthcare the fastest in the world. So the first thing is, universal healthcare implementation in Indonesia. Wow, what a big challenge. But the second is the speed it was done. It's just incredible. And, a lot of people don't realize the huge amount of effort the country took to get there. But I think it's just the first step. We have some very fundamental underlying trends that were started with COVID, with digitization. We start to see now telemedicine, telehealth, that is developing very fast. And we believe one of the fundamental change with this digitization, with this speed of adaptation, right? Healthcare has been a sector typically quite conservative, and for a good reason, right? We don't want to, to try and make mistakes in healthcare, but we have seen now some acceleration, and this acceleration can be embraced or resisted, and I think people need to embrace that change and start to move faster, yet still having a little bit of the very cautious approach that, a doctor needs to have. We can all, well, maybe I want to take some changes, but I don't want the risk associated. So it's a very difficult balance. And I think all companies have to go through this thoughtfully. So not going one way, being super conservative, or the other way, saying, oh, we're going to just break all the barriers, etc., because we're talking people's lives here. So as a company, what we're focusing on is being very strong on technology. So we did the Digital Healthcare Summit not too long ago, where actually we said, the collaboration of party is very important. Before you could be more or less a standalone business, but it's not anymore the case. We have entered, if you know the 4.0 concept, right? Is we collaborate and we get the modules together. I think here what is important is that we get all companies collaborating and working together much quicker than before. So yes, there are implications in terms of legality, IP, etc. But I think what is important to us is we move into that space of being more agile, more nimble, more collaborative. And from our perspective, we still need to be very careful on the impact. So we really need to think it through. We need to think like the Swiss clock. What's going to happen next, so that we don't implement things that could put people's lives at risk. And with APL, you can be sure we will do that. In terms of strategy, yes, a lot of things to do, a lot of work, and we will be for sure working to make healthcare more accessible for Indonesia.
Okay, so collaboration with any party is needed to give more impactful for healthcare industry in Indonesia. What a fruitful discussion. Thank you, Christophe Piganiol, President Director of Anugerah Pharmindo Lestari.
Thank you, Sasa.
Thank you for joining us. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Dan usai jeda kami akan kembali di CNBC Indonesia Awards untuk kategori The Best Healthcare Companies. Jadi tetap bersama kami di Road to CNBC Indonesia Awards.